Now, this is the real eureka move in the golf swing, and that is bumping your hips down as you're starting the downswing and throughout that downswing, which we're seeing all the top players in the world do here. Because why those top players in the world all do this move is because it helps you with these three things that make the golf swing so much easier, ridiculously easier. And that is one, it helps you with awesome ball striking, two, unbelievable power, and three, it really helps you continue your rotation going through the shot. So we're going to talk about two awesome drills that really help you bump those hips down to get those three awesome attributes into your golf game. But we've not been told to bump down traditionally. We've been told to bump up. So bump those hips up and then try to turn. So before we get into those drills, let's talk about each part of the benefits of bumping down. So the power, the striking, and of course the rotation, and exactly what bumping the hips up does in correlation to those two to get that bigger understanding. So we said number one, that is consistent ball striking. So that is when we're bumping those hips down. So what is that? That is that left hip staying down whilst we're turning. We're turning with a tilt. That is why we got to bump down, because we have our lead side lower than our trail side. So for right-handed golfer, left side lower than the right. We need to maintain that relationship into the downswing because the ball's on the ground, we need to stay tilted. So what that does in relationship to striking, keeping and bumping down like you're surfing down a wave, what that does, that gets everything moving nicely and gradually over onto that left side. So then as we come through, that's going to then create that low point being after the golf ball, which really massively helps with striking. Because when we do that with that left side going down, you're going to notice that how the upper body is going to stay on top of my lower body, which then really makes, like I said, consistent low point control. When we do that, makes it so much easier. But a lot of golfers try to do the opposite, try to do the bumping up, which when you bump the hips up, left side up, you're going to see what happens to my upper body immediately. Goes backwards, goes away from the target, the seesawing effect. Because if I have lost that tilt, my upper body needs to react in a way to get the club back into the ground again. But when we move that upper body back and down, which gets the club into the ground, absolutely, but that's also moved my low point behind the ball. See, let me demonstrate this and look at the strike. Clunky, awful. So, the lowest point of the swing arc is controlled where the left pec is. So wherever the left pec is, that's where the lowest point of the swing arc is going to be. So if I bump up and my upper body tilts back as reaction, my lowest point's either going to be at best level with a golf ball, which means I'll be striking the ground first, or behind, so I could then chunk it massively, or just thin the golf ball. So many of you who struggle with that compression, you've got to stop bumping those hips up, and you've got to start bumping them down to get yourself into that lead side properly, but the upper body on top, so the left pec is in front of the ball. Immediately you make that change, the striking becomes way better. So number two, gaining good power with bumping those hips down. So when we bump the hips down, just like we said, it creates that upper body for getting on top of the lower body. So when we're transitioning down and having that lead hip stay down, the upper body will have this drifting motion. And that center of mass of the body getting on top of the lower body, shifting towards the target, is one of the key things we see all the best players in the world do to be able to create good power. It's that recentering movement. Bam, that gets all that pressure, all that force into that lead side and into the ground. Because the players who absolutely hit the ball the furthest put the most amount of pressure and force into the ground. If you're going to put more pressure and force into something, let's say if you're stepping on a can, for example, and you're trying to crush a can underneath your foot, if you're going to really crush that can easy, you're going to lean in with your upper body and push your upper body. If the can's to the side of you, what are you going to do? You're going to do that. You're going to have your upper body stay on top of the lower body to get all that pressure into the can to crush it. Just doing this, you can crush it, absolutely, but it's not going to be that efficient. So same thing about getting force into the ground, into the lead side and the downswing. You have to keep that lower body with that lead side down, bumping down again like we're surfing down a wave, because that's going to get that pressure of that upper body on top of the lead side so then it can, boom, explode out. So it really helps you massively for the power. Awesome. Like we said, every time you do it, hear those strikes. So that's why, again, if you're bumping your hips up, upper body's going away. So really your force and your pressure is going into this leg, going into your right leg, which is the one that's away from the target. So not great in a power standpoint. That's where a lot of players say where their power then comes from the hands. Don't be silly. That's not where a massive amount of power is going to come from. Your power goes into your hands, absolutely, as you swing through, the kinetic energy going through there. But it might not be created by the hands. And certainly trying to create it with the hands and pressure back is going to be a disaster for not only distance, but club face control and accuracy too. So number 3, rotation. Massively helps that bumping down movement with rotation, because rotation is one of the power producers in the golf swing. It's one of those 3 forces, the torquing, which is very, very important. And 2, it massively helps for club face stability and control. The better we turn, the more stable the club face is going to be, the less rate of closure. So even adding a little bit more rotation to players' golf swings is going to be a really beneficial thing to do. So if we have that lead side stay down, the bumping down, that is going to keep that tilt to the ground, which means the body will want to start to be able to unwind and turn and get in that really nice rotation. Awesome. It's one of the key components in there. For myself, when I was really trying to get rotation into my golf swing and have that be a big focus, that was one of my big missing pieces. I would have the hips level out, not quite bump up, but level out in their tilt. And then from there, I found it really hard to open the hips. So that's where a lot of people think, God, they can't rotate because they're not flexible enough. And you look at them in a downswing and they are bumping the hips up, which is then stalling them out. Because if you bump the hips up, like we said, it is going to get you out of your tilt. The left side's going to raise, upper body's going to tilt back. It's where a lot of people now, when they do try to do the bump and turn, why they get so much back issues. Because if you bump and turn, that's putting so much pressure on that lower spine. Me just trying to replicate that hurts and puts pressure on it. So no wonder when someone's swinging at adequate, quite a club head speed, that's going to put a ton of pressure on there. So that's where, absolutely, before you assess rotation is good or bad for your body, make sure you're rotating properly. As someone with cerebral palsy, a disabled golfer like myself, I've never once had any issue when it comes to pain of the body with rotating. All of my students, we've got them into a good, let's say, part of their golf swing to where they can start to rotate. They all of a sudden have no more pain in their swing because they're doing it properly. They're not bumping and turning. So it really helps with that fluidity and efficiency of rotation. Gives you good striking, gives you good power. Why would you not go and have that move into your golf swing? You need it in there. So here's 2 drills to get it in there. So here's the 2 drills. Number 1, the step through drill. So this one teaches you, again, to get everything moving towards that target, onto your left side, your lead side of the body. So then you're going to be going upper body and lower body, keeping that tilt. So what do? We have club set up like normal, then step over with your left foot to your right foot. Of course, switch it around if you're left-handed. So then here we go. Now the club is out the middle of my feet there. And as soon as I take that club back, I step over with my left foot. That keeps that tilt. You can't be bumping and doing this successfully. So again, here we go. Awesome. This is a great power drill as well, because again, what is it doing? It's getting all that pressure, crushing that can underneath that foot, really squishing it. So another one, club out the middle, over to your back foot, club out the middle there, and then step through as soon as you take that club back. There we go. And then you can really, once you get the feeling of that, really aggressively get yourself slamming and stamping down. That is going to massively keep you in that bumping down, surfing down the wave type of feeling. One more. As you can hear here, brilliant striking. This is great for my golf swing, and it'll be great for yours too. Let's get into drill number 2. So number 2 here, this is one I talk about quite often on the channel here because it's such a good drill. And this is with an alignment stick through your belt loops. You just have a tiny bit coming out here on the right, a lot of it on the left there. So this gives us the visual representation now and the visual cue of what our hips are doing. Are they bumping down or are they bumping up? If we're bumping down, this stick in transition is going to go down and it's going to disappear around me. Absolutely. We can physically see that in our peripheral vision. If we're bumping up, we're going to see that stick raise up and we're actually going to get more behind it, of course. So we're going to be able to see whether we've done it right or wrong. I've done this a ton in my own golf game. Really, really good. And because we're going down and around, it's getting us that rotation feel also. So bumping down and around. Great. I really like it. It really gets everything over onto that lead side, gets that striking really nicely, gets the rotation. So everything that movement gets into your golf swing, this drill encapsulates it all, but really feel down and around. Well, I'm telling this drill to my students who need to work on something like this. I'll always make them do this in between shots, push it down as they're turning to really emphasize in their practice swing of the movement they want. So that's why you've got to take advantage of practice swings, and you've really got to exaggerate what you want to do. Really push it down and turn. So that's why, again, it's a practice swing. When you do this, you're going to notice the club in a practice swing sense is going to throw over the top. It's a practice swing. You've got to exaggerate. Don't worry about if it looks funny in a practice swing, because there's no ball there. A lot of people always say their practice swing is at a tour level. You know, if they swung with their practice swing, they'll play unbelievably good golf. No, you wouldn't. Your swing, even though if it looks different without a practice, or when you're not doing the practice swing, it might look jerky, might look funny. That's your swing trying to match itself up to be able to hit the ball to the target. It's the biggest nonsense I ever hear is people saying my practice swing is fine. And then when you get to impact with a practice swing, their club face is like 10 degrees open. So that is where you've got to use practice swing for really what it's useful for, and that's exaggeration. So stick going down in the round. Boom. Love it. So again, you could do both of these drills quite nicely. Do the step through drill first to get you that feeling again, everything onto that lead side, that bumping down feel, and then applying that drill or that feel to this. And that'll be absolutely great. So get that bumping down, don't bump up the golf swing. You're going to get a load of the key body movements in the downswing and key club conditions into the golf ball, areas that we want to see, just via one move. So if you enjoyed the video, click that like button. If you want more golf instruction just like this, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell button too to be notified every time I put out a video.